this debt, this destruction.
Global news impacts us.
We have to change the way we live.
This is why we need independent media.
Hey everyone, this is Kit Cabello with Hard Lens Media. We've got a whole awesome episode for all of you lovely people. Real quick in the background, thank you so much. I forgot the wonderful Patreon list because you guys are so awesome. We were in the middle of having an important conversation for all the great stuff that we're working here at the studio. Just a big update too. We are getting the groundwork set up for Chicago Corner. More on that later, but myself and Daniel are extremely confident and happy with what we are seeing firsthand with Chicago Corner and what we're going to be doing.
So
with
we're going to keep
channel.
teasing it until there's something to show you, but
Yes.
we see it developing, and it is it's in and maybe to say it this way, is it is correct. We have a beautiful fetus right now. It's growing.
It's growing.
It'll
It's
be
growing.
a baby one day.
Yes, but also again, shout out to Daniel Upker for being an awesome co-host. My name is Kit Cabell, the host of Hard Lens Media. Shout out to our tech priest, Sincere Phase, for manning the board.
And I want to give a quick shout out to Lawrence Johnson. Congratulations for having drinking water in a first world country again.
All right.
Go Texas.
All right, and also shout out to all of our moderators, E. Heller, Alexandria, Mona Carmona, Fred Edward, Ayana, and I hope I'm not forgetting anyone else. Oh, Gamer for Life.
Did you say Allie?
Yeah, I said Allie.
Okay, well, I'm saying Allie.
All right, well, yes. But Allie has a lot of great stuff set in store for Chicago Corner, but more on that later. Also, a special shout out to our wonderful Patreon list. These are the people who operate Hard Lens Media for 18 minutes per month. Shout out to Hoot Hoot Burns, Doris Fillion, Steph D, Brett Brady, Alvin Carvas, Grant Hun, Artemis L.A., Michael Swinski, Ruben Escobar, Pepin, Breeze, like a cool breeze, a summer breeze, maybe. Here's hoping we're getting that. Steve Ferrighi, Kate Wagner, Colin Hutchinson, Joel Crow, Anna Kay, Kimberly Schwank, Brett Norm, Roger Holden, and Catherine Rosenfield. You guys and gals are our honorary Patreon supporters. And again, without you guys, this channel would not exist. If you want to be a Patreon supporter, that link is in the description box below. Hard Lens Media is live every Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. Our Rockfin show, I did record for a video. More on that soon.
His hard drive got full, so it's delayed.
So, but there will be a video uploaded soon on our Rockfin channel. Apologies for the delay. A lot of stuff we're working out.
It's a really good that you've been very vague about the show times.
Yes. So
It'll happen. There will be 3 videos.
It's gonna happen. Listen, folks, you just gotta give old Kit Kat just a minute here. Trying to figure out how to do things. I'm not phased.
Don't apply too much heat. He'll melt under the pressure.
It's going to be 3 shows next week. Oh, wait. It's going to be 2 shows 3
what is
days
this?
from now. It'll be 1 show eventually.
I guess what is this called? Hashtag Hard Lens Media lied.
And it's funny because it's like you sounded a little bit like me when we're talking about clipping. I'm like, we'll do 1 clip, no 2, and we'll do a short. No, maybe no short. No, with 3 clips, it'll exist. Maybe 3 parts. There might be 2. Don't worry. It's Hard Lens Media, everyone. We got it all packed together.
All right, folks. But with that being said, we got a great show. Daniel, is there something else you want to give an announcement to as well?
Oh, we're gonna have a great show.
All right, there we go. So with that being said, we are going to get started with our first segment. And I'm really excited to talk about this story. Has to deal with our good friend Neera Tanden. Neera Tanden. So what exactly is going on? Well, apparently there's 2 videos that I want to give reference to Case Study QB. Again, follow him on Twitter. He's doing a fantastic job. This first video is really how corporate media seems to have its, again, 2 different videos. See if you could spot the difference. But in this first video, it's just, you got to wonder, what world is this person living in where progressives want to ally with Neera? What? Let's play that video.
I asked that same question about Tanden to someone close to the White House. Why double down on this? Why not? People are privately acknowledging they don't have a 50th vote somewhere. There was some talk about Senator Portman maybe getting behind her at some point. That does not appear to be happening. There's no indication that she has enough votes to get confirmed. So why not just pull the nomination? The person said to me, there's not really any upside for the White House in doing that at this point. maybe it could move the process along by putting someone else up there, but it would just upset her supporters. It would upset progressives in the liberal wing of the party. And their case, too, was that for Tanden, who could also withdraw her name, this has given her high profile. It has increased her popularity with liberals. She's sort of seen as this progressive fighter, and it's just getting her name out there.
This is why no one trusts mainstream
their
media.
take was there wasn't really any upside in doing it at this point. The other nominees, there could be a different calculus. And, I know from the beginning of the selection process, the three you mentioned, Tanden, Holland, and Becerra, have been seen as the wild cards. One person referred to me, they said that there might be some sacrificial lambs in there. So understanding that these were risky picks. They could have picked a boring governor from some state for HHS, and they didn't. And part of that was this Biden administration's push to get diversity in there, to get progressives, to get different viewpoints within the Democratic Party in his cabinet. And that's one of the reasons that these candidates were selected, and that we're seeing a difficult confirmation fight here.
What can I just really quickly point out that Joe Biden's entire administration is putting more effort to get Neera Tanden confirmed than passing the minimum wage, passing stimulus checks. Neera Tanden, you did your deed. You were the attack dog. Isn't it funny though how they're like, oh yeah, Neera Tanden. Why do people not like her? Well, she did all these tweets against Republicans and Bernie and progressives. She was horrible to them. That's why they don't want to vote for her. But she also is supported by those same progressives.
I am not supporting her, and neither is anyone else that I know who's progressive, because there's a lot of my fellow colleagues in the independent media networks that have done fantastic work, us here included, calling out the hypocrisy of Neera Tanden and of the corporate Democrats. Biden has surrounded himself with pro-corporatist people, but what I find interesting is that people like Mitt Romney, Joe Manchin, and Susan Collins are basically against her. And these are conservative. Obviously, two of them are Republicans. One of them is a blue dog Democrat who might as well be a Republican. But the one person who really hasn't said anything, who's been shockingly quiet about this whole thing, has been Bernie Sanders. His silence is really disturbing, because if I went through what he went through, I would show no loyalty to these people. The only person who I know who's actually kept it together, even after they tried to destroy her career, was Tulsi Gabbard. And, but hey, she pulls no punches because she calls out the Democratic and Republican establishment for the frauds that they are. At least she's willing to fight back. Bernie, I mean, why are you so quiet?
Bernie's like, this is like goalpost moves. This is where Bernie's at. And then,
all right, I thought you were going to show me something in the chat.
Joe Biden is like, hey, Bernie, if you drop out, I'll give you some concessions. Okay, well, now that I can't actually give you the concessions right now, I need you to actually really try to go to your fans and supporters and tell them to vote for me. Then I'll give you those concessions. Okay, well, I can't do that right now. It's not a good time. There's a pandemic. We have to be unified because there's Trump impeachment. But if you just stick with us in this process, I'll give you the concessions. Okay, Bernie, we can't do that right now. It's not really favorable. We're trying to lower the stimulus check amount that Trump is doing and get people to think that he's really bad. So once that's done, we'll give you some concessions. Okay, Bernie, great. Now that you're the chair of where you're at, we need you to do everything in your power. I know you hate Neera, and she sort of attacked all of your family and your supporters and your staff and called you sexist and racist and everything else, to the point where she's deleted 1,000 tweets. But we really still need you to help support her. Okay, we're not going to do the concessions.
Yep, and that's the legacy of Bernie, where it's just he started off strong in 2016, as now just fizzled on out. I'm sorry if that hurts anyone's feelings, but I want to see someone who's going to push back. Well, let's play this other video, because again, it's going to be a 55-second video, so it'll probably repeat itself very soon. So just be ready to pause it again.
Would it be fair to say it's going to repeat itself in 55 seconds?
No, but what I want to point out is that this one short video is going to hit the nail on the head about why people don't like Neera Tanden. This short segment.
Well, for those of us that don't know why we shouldn't like her, let's take a look.
But as you alluded to, Casey, it seems like the lights are out for Neera Tanden's nomination to be OMB director. Tanden, a former head of the Center for American Progress, I think she's currently the head of the Center for American Progress, came under fire from the left and the right and basically everybody on Capitol Hill for a range of things. She has tweeted a lot of nasty stuff about Republicans, so I guess that's not surprising given that she's a Democratic activist. And furthermore, the left doesn't love her because she was against Bernie Sanders.
Wait, can I pause that really quick for a second? Yeah. Wait a minute. Are they pull the camera here for a second. I just wanna let me get this straight. MSNBC is saying that she is progressives and progressives love her, and she is not a progressives and progressives hater. Man, they need to get their continuity. Like, you know how like movies have like continuity directors and TV shows? They need to hire one of them just to get their lies.
Well, I just want to give you just a very funny thing that I want to point out to our entire viewing audience before we play the rest of the video. But real quick to our viewing audience, there's been hashtag reject Neera Tanden that's been trending on Twitter. And then there's been yes Neera Tanden, which has been cheerleaded by the liberal Democrats. And that one is not trending as much. There's like compared the reject Neera to yes Neera, reject Neera is 10K in the lead.
I wonder why.
Yeah, don't worry, folks. But here, let's play the rest of that video. And then I got some fun tweets to share with you guys and gals.
Making a lot of corporate money. No one seems to be rescuing her. The White House is standing by her for now. I'm not sure what they're standing by her for, what they're waiting for. I don't see any Republicans at this point, as we sit here this morning, who are willing to come out and rescue her nomination. So I would imagine that the White House will have to shift gears here in the next couple days. But
yeah. So again, this is the Biden administration. This is how they act. This is how they're going to operate. And remember, we even covered on the show on how Joe Biden is trying to get Rahm Emanuel into his administration too as an ambassador.
Why not?
I mean, it's starting to get really pathetic with this entire Democratic presidential administration. I mean, look, let's face it. He has surrounded himself with people who have implemented neoliberal policies that basically help give rise to Trump. But I want to pull up some awesome tweets here from some of our fellow colleagues that are rightfully calling out Neera Tanden for the hypocrite and monster that she is. Because, remember, she was all on board with being a pirate in Libya. So shout out to our good friend Frank Analysis. Reject Neera Tanden at all costs and stop making excuses for Bernie, AOC, and all the other Democrats who will vote for her. Because and that's okay. We could stop there. Wait, hold on. Can you highlight that one tweet right there as well? Or support her in the case of AOC, who is not a senator. Well, yeah, and again, I find it interesting that, again, why does it have to be, these conservatives fighting Neera Tanden and not Bernie Sanders?
We got to stay in line.
Yeah.
Because if progressives do anything to make themselves unique and special, that would be bad, except for their cause and re-election purposes.
Right. And now let's pull out another tweet of a good friend. This is Cullen Tierman, who was Tulsi Gabbard's part of Tulsi Gabbard's campaign. Wouldn't it be amazing if mainstream media had a real conversation about Neera Tanden, if they openly discussed the psychology of someone who wants to steal Libya's oil after destroying their country's stability? If they asked her, how did we get here? Hashtag reject Neera Tanden. All right, and I want to pull up the next tweet. But before we do, can we get the camera on me real quick? Yeah. I just want to acknowledge this. Look, there's no such thing as a perfect government. Never will be. And the previous government was run by a dictator, all right? But ever since that previous government has been destroyed, Libya has been reduced to an anarchic state where there's open slavery happening. In this modern day and age,
they got
slavery.
Freedom. Wait, no, that's the opposite of freedom. My bad.
Right? And the whole thing is, what did Neera Tanden say? What did she say? What did she do? In an email, she said, we have a budget deficit. They have a lot of oil. I'm pretty sure all of us would be upset if somebody said that to us or did that to our country. But that's what the United States is doing. So when Tulsi Gabbard was calling out against regime change wars, yeah, we got to stop this. But somebody like Neera Tanden was all happy to cheerlead for it. Let's pull up this next tweet. Shout out to Fiorella Isabel from the Convo Couch. Shut up about Neera Tanden's blanking tweets. It's about her foreign policy, comments on Libya, paying us for their oil, her organizations with Wall Street money. She is the elite rot of the establishment we must defeat. Sanders voting for her will be the final end of his movement. Hashtag reject Neera Tanden. And Fiorella Isabel is absolutely correct, as have been everyone else that's been calling for rejecting Neera Tanden. But sadly, the silence of Bernie Sanders, as well as other larger progressives and progressive networks, is very disturbing. We covered on yesterday's show about how Cenk Uygur is going to bat for Neera Tanden, saying we need her in because, maybe
those are the progressive allies they're talking about.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. I guess maybe so. That TYT is that.
I'm going to pull a mainstream media. We got to be fair and balanced.
Fair and balanced.
We have to do a show or talk about a tweet where it's yes, Neera, and I think I think I can sort of channel that. She's Indian. You got to vote for her. That's the only qualification that matters. Now, ask me about Tulsi Gabbard.
Well, wait. Well, it wasn't Tulsi Gabbard the last woman?
Shut up.
But Tulsi Gabbard was the last. She was the last.
We're very
woman.
Consistent.
But Tulsi
Neera
Gabbard.
Tanden's good because she's Indian. But Tulsi Gabbard's bad also for the same reason. The Democratic Party makes no mistakes.
But
be quiet. We're your superiors. Go eat your ice cream.
I'm voting third party. I'm voting third party. All right. So with that being said, we are going to move things along. We are going to go to our next segment. Before we do, I want to acknowledge a Streamlabs super chat from Henry Volt, good friend of the show, $5. FaZe, what did our good friend Henry Volt send to us?
It's always infuriating how they think they can speak for us.
Yeah, it is. And especially from larger networks that should know better, because let's face it, when Cenk was running for Congress, the Democratic establishment say, hey, we're going to have this primary. It's going to be fair. We're going to play even. Mm-hmm. We're not going to smear anybody. But oh, wait, Cenk, isn't that what they did to you and your campaign? Why are you going to bat for these people? If someone's going to spin in my face, I'm going to remember that and never, ever help them. Why would you do that? Why would you like that kind of abuse? I mean, Bernie Sanders seems to be into that. I don't know why. The only person who had any kind of sense was Tulsi Gabbard, walking away from the DNC. Yeah. Also, I want to acknowledge a YouTube super chat from Yazin Yusuf, $10. Bernie is a lot of things, but fighter just isn't one of them. I'm inclined to agree. People dunked on Kyle when he called him the C word, but truer words were never spoken. You guys kill it every day. Keep it up. No, you kill it every day.
You allow us to kill it.
You allow us to do that. And every one of our viewers...
You put the knife in our hands. We just do stuff with it.
No. By sanction of the emperor. We continue forward.
And I want to just make a point so that if there's any chance that gets taken out of context, I know that someone actually mentioned very fair point that Tulsi is Polynesian. I know that was sort of the point of the why I called her Indian from the Democratic point of view.
Yeah, they will. Okay.
It's like they're just like, I'm old, she's brown, it's Indian. That's the take.
And also, I find it interesting that again, corporate media forgot that Tulsi Gabbard was the last woman in the Democratic primary.
Just forgot it. Hey, we're truthful. You know, it'd be really nice if we could do at some point. I would love to just do a show where it's like, hey, here are all the lies that corporate media told today. Then it's just like, just show clip, break it down. Like the perspectives, but a little more factual.
Yeah. All right. We are now going to move on to our next segment. Daniel Lupker, you have a story for people. What is going on?
Okay, I have a nice story, or a possible nice story, or a story that might turn out to be nice. You know, some combination of those words. And it's also sort of funny. Okay, so now we've been talking about Biden getting the stimulus done, and we're like, that's going to take a while, and we have our running bet on when it'll happen en masse.
Yes.
Well, California might actually just beat them to it, because why not? So this is a nice story. So California lawmakers on Monday cleared the way for 5.7 million people to get at least $600 in one-time payments. I wonder if California is going to get $600 less in stimulus from the federal government when this passes, because, 600 plus 600, Anyway, part of the state-sized coronavirus relief package aimed at helping lower-income people weather what they hope is the last leg of the pandemic. Hope. Wonderful. The state legislature passed the bill by a wide margin on Monday, moving faster than their counterparts in Congress, who are also considering another round of stimulus checks for the nation. Governor Gavin Newsom, who said he would sign the bill into law on Tuesday. People who are eligible for the money should get it at between 45 and 60 days after receiving their state tax refunds, according to the Franchise Tax Board. One of those people is Judy Jackson, a 75-year-old former teacher and cancer survivor who lives off of about $1,000 a month from other government programs. Jackson said she would use part of the money to pay off a freezer she bought so she can have food delivered to her home and avoid going out to shop for groceries during a pandemic, which is the only time it's useful to buy a freezer when you're not Nancy Pelosi. Most months, as her speaking, most months I'm worried at the end of the month whether the money is going to run out before the month does, said Jackson, who said she's at a higher risk for COVID-19 because of her age and a number of underlying health conditions. This would make it possible to have a little extra and maybe buy an ice cream occasionally. I'm not going to comment on that part. About $2.3 billion of the money will go to people who claim and receive California earned income tax credit. In general, that's people who earn less than $30,000 a year. Another $470 million will go to people who earn a maximum of $75,000 a year after deductions and use an individual taxpayer identification number to file their income taxes. These are mostly people who don't have social security numbers, including immigrants. Some people fit both these categories. In those cases, they will get $1,200, not $600. The Democratic-controlled state legislature did this because most people who file their taxes this way are immigrants who are not eligible for federal stimulus checks Congress approved last year. About $993 million will go to people who help from state programs targeting low-income families, the elderly, blind, and disabled. California has the money to do this in part because the state, the nation's most populous with nearly 40 million residents, has a lot of wealthy people who have been less impacted by the pandemic and continue to pay taxes. So, yeah, California might beat the federal government to a UBI that they haven't been promising for as long as the federal government has, and they're going to be giving $600. Is it enough? No. Is it something? Yeah. Is it nice to see California do something as well? Yeah.
All right. So here's my takeaway from what we're seeing in California. Because again, the state of California does have a solid Democratic majority in the House and Senate, and they also have the governorship as well. But our friends at the Convo Couch have said numerous times that California, even though it's a solid Democratic majority, they have screwed up time and time again at the state level. So I want to see this get fully implemented and whether or not it truly gets off the ground. If these are just words that they're saying, then it's words. But the thing is, universal basic income, when Andrew Yang and then carried on by Tulsi Gabbard, who these were the only two candidates that were talking about universal basic income, everyone was kind of like waving along like we didn't need it. Then comes along COVID-19, and it turns out universal basic income isn't a bad idea. And you want to know why? We've seen other countries do that. We've seen other countries get involved with universal basic income or have a temporary UBI, something of the sort. We're still waiting for our continuous stimulus checks, and we could have had something like this at the federal level, but Nancy Pelosi, our good ice cream eating friend from California, Nancy Pelosi, chose not to because she wanted to hurt Trump. A stimulus check isn't something that's going to make somebody lazy. A stimulus check might save someone from being evicted from their home. A stimulus check might be able to help someone put food on the table. I know. Shocking in the richest country in the world. Maybe a stimulus check could also maybe buy medicine for their loved ones, prescription drugs, something like that, so a loved one isn't struggling or at risk of dying because they can't afford to buy their medicine. But yet we have this problem here in this country. Maybe a stimulus check could help somebody fix their car up because one bad day, if they don't have emergency money to fix their car, oh no, they lose mobility. Because that's how we get around, because we don't have public infrastructure, especially public transportation, at a scale that other countries do. A stimulus check, universal basic income, needs to be adopted here in this country and needs to be in the hands of the people right now. We are still waiting for our $2,000 stimulus checks. We're still waiting. How much longer must we wait? How many more good people must pass away or be at risk of being homeless because we have governments at the state and federal level that are choosing not to do anything for us?
Yeah.
All right. With that being said, we are now going to move on to our next segment. Before we do, I want to acknowledge everyone in our live stream chat, especially all those that are viewing. You guys, our viewers and subscribers, are helping us build this channel up. What we're doing here at the studio and the work that we are built, the groundwork that we're trying to build here is create a network and a studio that's going to represent a lot of people and also cover stories that corporate media will not cover. And again, it's because of you guys, our viewers and subscribers, that we were able to get out of that shadow ban disaster that we had to go through for about 7 months. It was a nightmare, and the people who pushed us along, who kept us going forward, was all of you. And we cannot thank you guys enough, guys and gals. So there we go. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our next segment. We're going to talk about our good friend Joe Manchin. Good old Joe Manchin.
Oh, man.
You know, our friend? Well, guess, you know, have you ever seen History of the World, the movie? No? That's fine.
I've seen the video, The History of the World, not a movie.
I hope I didn't screw up the title of the movie then. But there's a scene in there where there's the Roman Senate, and one of the senators says, "My fellow Roman senators, shall we use these new resources to help put more homes available for the poor, feed the hungry, and give aid to those who need it? My fellow senators, where do you stand?" And you know what they all said in unison? Screw the poor. So we got this video from Case Study QB where basically Joe Manchin, he has something different than $15 an hour. Guess what? It's $11 an hour now.
And I want to remind everyone, people have been asking to increase the wage from this federal level that got set to 15 for so long that if we made it 15, it's now worth basically $7.25 again.
Yes, and before we play the video, first Ayana and E. Heller said it's History of the World Part 1. That is correct. Thank you. Thank you for the full correction of the title. See, when I make a mistake, I acknowledge it. See? And you guys, all of you.
That's the best way you can tell if someone's mainstream news or not, if they are like, oh, my bad.
Yeah. Yep. Like, hey, hey. So I will, I got to watch that movie again. But before I even think about watching that movie, we got a video to play for you. Be sure to follow Case Study QB. Let's play that video and hear Joe Manchin's defense of $11 an hour.
Not in favor of a $15 minimum wage as part of the $1.9 trillion relief package, but he would support $11 or maybe a smidge more. How much of a chance does this have of getting through, assuming, leave the Senate parliamentarian issue aside, whether or not it can be included in this type of bill, but assuming it can, is that the type of thing that could get 50 Democratic votes?
Certainly. I think leaving aside, to your point, the parliamentarian issue, which we'll see what happens in the next 2 days, whether any minimum wage could be a part of this. But for Joe Manchin, he's really playing deal maker here. He's asserted himself in a way that, yes, he was always kind of that figure who could make or break a deal, but he is now potentially taking down two of Joe Biden's nominees and trying to cut a deal here on minimum wage. I do think if he can get Kirsten Sinema on board, the other moderate Democrat who's been skeptical of a $15 minimum wage, there could be a deal here, and that could actually kind of appease some of the progressives who are adamant that this should be included. It is going to be something that we're going to be watching very closely in the coming days.
And Errol, I mean, Joe Biden had signaled that it wasn't his way or the highway when it came to $15 an hour minimum wage. I mean, this might just be the
next
happy medium
FDR.
that people have been looking for.
It would be a shame if that were the case. I mean, folks, your viewers should keep in mind, Allison, that when they say $15 minimum wage, they're not talking about enacting that this year or even next year or even the year after. It's supposed to ramp up over a period of years. And it's not going to be indexed to inflation, which, by the way, are major mistakes in this. This is why this question comes up over and over again. They're talking about phasing it in by, I think, 2025 or something. And for Joe Manchin to say even that's too quick, even that's, too much, in a state that he represents and the dire poverty in sections of that state is really shameful. I mean, if they can have a hearing where they maybe try and bring some of these senators to their senses about, well, what's really needed by people who are struggling, who are working every day and still staying poor, perhaps they can adjust the conversation, and perhaps the compromise can be more like, okay, we'll take our time and we'll phase it in a little bit slower. But my goodness, people have got to be able to make a living wage. I think that's what the election in part was about, and that's how the American people voted.
All right. So here's the thing. This is not exactly what the American people voted for, because remember, Joe Biden himself said nothing will fundamentally change. So all those people, especially progressive voters that were afraid of a second Trump term, and I understand people being afraid of a second term of Donald Trump. I get it. But the thing is, being browbeaten and not using your political power to vote, not using your own political leverage to hold the Biden administration accountable has led us to this point to where, again, 2021, the Democrats are dead set of walking into a slaughter into the 2022 midterm election cycle. This should show you just how heartless these politicians are. They're willing to turn a blind eye to people starving, being evicted, basically becoming broke or bankrupt because we have a government that's pro-corporatist. Their number one constituents are a top 1%. But last I checked, wasn't it Joe Biden that's president of the United States that's trying to implement policies to help working class citizens? Or is it Joe Manchin who's president of the United States? I'm confused. I don't know which one is it. But hey, vote blue no matter who crowd. Why are you so damn silent? Why are you so quiet on this? This is a Democratic lawmaker, not Trump the orange man, not a Republican senator, not a Republican House representative. This is Democratic senator from West Virginia, Joe Manchin, that's saying screw the poor, giving them two middle fingers and saying it's okay for you to starve. It's okay for you to not get a wage increase from $15 to $11. Now I know how we went from $2,000 to $1,400 for a stimulus check, because this is how the Democrats like Joe Biden and Joe Manchin work. And if Joe Biden is going to push Joe Manchin, well, then Joe Manchin can basically do whatever he wants, because he's not going to get any pushback from Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or AOC or Bernie Sanders. It's that whole force to vote thing. What? People's tone? Was it too bad? Was it too loud? Was it too angry? Pretty soon, it's going to become way, way, way too difficult to tell someone to calm down when they're starving and homeless and have nothing. Good luck in telling that person to calm down, because you're going to be begging for that pothead comedian to yell at on Twitter. But it's not going to be him. It's going to be other people that you're going to have to tell to calm down, and they're not going to calm down. And we have to wait till 2025. Joe Manchin is so insecure, and it's such a tiny, mentality.
Tiny mansion,
yeah. That he's so afraid, like, oh no, my corporate donors, they won't like me if I help implement $15. We got to kick the can down to 5 years to 2025. Oh wait, that's still too much. We got to make it $11.
By the way, you made a point on Joe Manchin that I hadn't even considered, but it is a beautiful point. Where are all the blue no matter who people?
Yeah,
when it was progressives that were asking for things, we were told to shut up and vote. When it was Trump supporters, they were just told to shut up and go die. But when it's Joe Manchin, who, let's be clear, all accounts, he's going against Biden. He's saying, Biden, what you're trying to do, not for me, not this blue. Where's all the blue no matter who right now? Where's the blue no matter who that went after Bernie Sanders? Where's the blue no matter who that went after Donald Trump? Why are they not going after Joe Manchin? For the exact same reason, in the exact same context, for the exact same issue. Where are they?
I know where they're at.
Right. It's not blue no matter who. That's just a moniker that describes what they are. It's establishment no matter who.
But Catherine... Good set wine. I hope I said your name correctly. She actually has a really good comment. They are swallowing it right now at brunch. So, but hold on.
It's all that ice cream. It's just ice cream. We're just talking about ice cream. I promise.
Hold on. But Dan, the vote blue no matter who crowd, they're not at the table. They're under the table.
Oh,
come on, vote blue no matter who. If you want to prove me wrong, push back against Joe Manchin.
Yeah.
If I see a whole bunch of vote blue no matter who people say, Joe Manchin, we want $15 right now, hey, I'll apologize. But until then, since you guys are lackluster and not pushing back at all and just happy that Joe Biden is in office, just remember this. Trump didn't go to jail. Nothing happened to him. And there's a good chance he'll run in 2024. And I'm looking forward to the vote blue no matter who crowd screaming and crying like, oh no, Trump's running again.
Yeah, and
that's how they're going to act.
And
I'm going to be completely disrespectful.
Oh yeah,
to them.
me too. I think we all should be. We've earned it. We've been very, very conscientious for too long. But it's just funny, and it's like everyone's taking it. No one's asking for anything. There's actually someone just wrote this, which I thought was a wonderful way to phrase it. And this is from Margot. And it says, the hardest part about the gaslighting is that essentially the U.S. is a declining sick empire that is pretending it's a startup that is well-funded with stable, brilliant thinkers. I really couldn't say it better.
Final word for that wonderful live stream chatter. Again, our audience is completely on point. You guys and gals are completely lovely. And, again, Joe Manchin, you are not going to get $15. He wants you to have $11. But watch it get whittled down to then $10 and $9. Watch our stimulus check gets whittled down to $1,400 to $1,000. Maybe, Daniel, you're right. Maybe you're right. $1,000. And then they'll whittle it down to $200 and see?
Yeah.
12 that 1,200 plus 600 plus 200. There's your $2K right out the door. And people wonder how we got Trump in the first place.
Yeah, it's like people that are again. This is the thing when I talk to, because I still try and keep in touch with the blue no matter who's, because I do want to understand their point of view, because it's sort of my job. And it's just funny to watch how they've just turned into pretzels, like a dark Eldar couch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Only it's like self-imposed.
Yep. And Salty Blank 2 says, Trump said he'll probably run in 2024. And I think so, yeah.
And by the way, the funny thing about this was that we were saying before with Trump running, it's like they hear Trump might run again. And what do? Do they go, okay, let's get a good policy set out. Let's win over the American people. Let's not screw up this administration. No, they don't. What do? Let's try and keep him from being able to participate by impeaching him.
Yep, and that didn't work at all, period. All right, with that being said, we're going to move on now to our next segment. Again, shout out to all of our wonderful viewers and subscribers, but we did get a YouTube super chat, and I want to acknowledge it real quick. So let me go ahead.
Really quick, don't forget, if you are new here, if you go into the description down below, you will see that we have a link to a place called Streamlabs. The reason we want to put this up here is that if you use Streamlabs for the same amount of donation, you get a way cooler animation that goes on screen. Can we refresh Henry Volt's
Henry Volt's thing. There you go.
And you can and it's wonderful.
Right there.
And it gets to go on if we clip your video, you get to be part of there. And the big catch is when you send us a super chat, which is amazing and wonderful, YouTube will just go, we'll take 30% of that as a wonderful convenience fee, whereas Streamlabs only takes 2%. So if you give us $10 and we get $7, but if it's through Streamlabs, we get about $9.80.
All right, and I want to acknowledge this person because they sent us a $9.99 YouTube super chat. Maddie Zubik. I laugh every time I hear you say Nancy Pelosi. Well, here,
That's her full name, though.
Hold on. I will say it properly now. Hello, everyone. It's me, Nancy Pelosi. Good morning. Sunday morning. Daniel, just calm down. Just calm down. We feed people. Just calm down. Just calm down, everyone. And that's my Nancy Pelosi impression for you guys. I look forward to the day, maybe I don't know if Graham Elwood, in the off chance he ever sees that, Granny Oil and Nancy have a conversation. Now that'll be the ultimate collab. But see, I'm not a comedic writer, so I'm pretty sure Graham would. Again, that's something further on down the road.
I got a great quote for you from chat.
What's up?
Kit is impersonating Steph impersonating Nancy. I'll take it.
Okay. All right, folks. We are going to be now moving on to our next segment. Daniel Upker, you have story for people. What is going on?
Okay. So everyone know Fox News, little startup, well-funded, smart thinkers. They have decided to talk about public banks. And I want to point this out before we even get into the clip. They bring up Europe a lot. And what's the funniest thing about this that we'll see on other things with mainstream media, if Europe has done something, for example, universal healthcare, and we talk about, hey, in Europe they got this done, what's the response of every single person on every single mainstream outlet? Well, they're more homogenous. They're white and wealthy, so it's different. And it's okay if they do it. Oh, their population is smaller. What about like someplace that's like France? Shut up. But if they think that they have a case to say that it's not good, they have no problem bringing up Europe, as we will see in this clip.
In banking, that is at the top of the agenda for Senate Finance Chairman Sherrod Brown. His plan would create a system of public bank accounts that do not operate for profit. Joining me right now is Florida Bankers Association President Alex Sanchez.
Okay, pause it
Alex,
real
it's
quick.
good to see.
Gotta love that they literally brought in a guy who would be competition to these new banks to explain if they're good or bad or not. I wonder what he picks. Let's find out.
You this morning. Thanks for being here. What's your take on this? What is the impact that something like this would have on the private banking industry?
Maria, good morning to you. Thanks for having me on from the rolling hills of Tallahassee. Maria, look, we're looking forward to working with Chairman Brown and Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez. This is an idea that even the Europeans have problems with. We have the strongest, best capitalized banking system in the world that's the most diverse.
Just why we just bailed it out last year.
Checking accounts. Banks every day are providing capital to make homeowners and business owners out of Americans. They did for my immigrant parents 60 years ago. So
I'm also an immigrant.
Public banks, Spain got out of the public banking system by their postal bank being sold to a private bank over 25 years ago. This is an idea that doesn't work. It's not worked in Europe. We certainly don't need it here in the United States. And the inference is, Maria, that by a public bank would provide capital to those who don't qualify for capital. At a public bank will provide capital to those who don't have access to capital at a private bank.
Okay,
do we
pause
want
it
to
real
be
quick.
making those type?
That's a lie.
That is a lie because he's struggling with it.
He's trying to lie, and he's like, my conscience. What he's saying is that people that are terrible with money go to public banks to get loans, whereas I'm going to convert that into real speak. People who want loans that are too small for banks, that aren't profit, that don't want to pay 7% interest fees, that live in areas that don't have banks. They're the people that are most likely to get these small loans. And if they go there and get loans through them, well, these banks can't loan them a loan in a high risk pool at like 7-10% interest, or payday loan stores are the people that most get hit by this anyway. So to translate further, I don't want that really good competition to come my way, so I'm going to reference something that happened in Spain getting neoliberalized as a reason to make my point, and I'm going to stutter when I'm lying.
Type of risky loans. The essence of banking, Maria, as you know, is credit worthiness and credit risk, and you know. The business school, one of the most prestigious business schools in Germany, the INSEAD Business School in Germany, did a report in 2010. And one of their recommendations, Maria, was to reduce greatly the number of public banks in Germany because of the competence of the boards and their lending practices. So it doesn't work. I mean, and so
it's just pause it.
People like.
So he's basically okay. So when corporations, like when this happened famously with McDonald's, they're like, man, we really shouldn't put a McDonald's across the street from another McDonald's. We need to reduce the amount of McDonald's that we had. What would have he said in that instance? He would have been like, great strategic decision, dealing with your liability and increasing the amount of assets you can get in. That's a genius idea. When I don't know the details of this German bill, but my guess is that they were along the same lines going, we don't need this many banks to hire this many people. We can reduce it, but we still want them. He's like, they got rid of all their banks. That's why I printed this thing out so I could read that, even though it's not even what I said.
Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez are not looking at history and what other countries have done in this and want to create this so-called new idea.
Well, the issue is that.
Okay, can I add something? Yeah, I want to quote Tim because he has a fantastic point that I completely forgot about. North Dakota has a public bank, and people like it.
Can I also add something in here too? During the 2008 crash, when we had to bail out the banks and Obama,
they're fully leveraged. He just said it. They have all the money. They're the most secure banks ever.
Well, here's a fact. Then President Barack Obama and Vice President Joe 30330 were in charge of basically turning a blind eye to the corrupt activities that the banks were doing. I also want to point out something as well. Let's talk about Iceland real quick. You know, when Iceland's bankers were screwing around and doing corrupt things, do you think the Iceland government just said, you know what, the bankers are all right, we're going to just let them pass? Oh, no, they didn't. They arrested those bastards and put them in jail. I know, controversial thing. Like, when you break a law or you do some horrible things and crash a country's economy, you should be held accountable. I mean, maybe here in the United States, that's a foreign concept. Just like how, when we have our international audience type in our comment section below, whether it be they from Canada, Australia, Germany, Britain, Iceland. What is medical debt? I've never heard of it before. We got people who don't speak English saying, what is medical debt? There's no translation. It doesn't translate.
You know what's funny?
It's an American invention.
They were talking about, this is jogging me from the chat, people are talking about how it's like, oh, we're the most fully leveraged bank. You know what reminds me of the word fully leveraged? It's like a gun that's been cocked.
All right. But I think you got another video, too, to play.
Yeah, we got a part 2. Let's check it out.
Part 2.
Government in banking, that is at the top of the agenda for Senate Finance Chairman Sherrod Brown. His plan would create a system of public bank accounts that do not operate for profit. Joining me right now is Florida Bankers Association President Alex Sanchez. Alex, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks for being here.
Okay, well, that's enough. We got the point. Yeah, so there you have it. Fox News is making the point that public banks are bad by having a private banker who would be competing with these public banks, saying that the private banks are bad because they would compete with him. But he isn't saying that. He's saying stuff about Europe, which, again, if it was actually a point to be made that would have been positive for the banks, they would have said, we can't do what Europe's doing. They're too homogenous.
But real quick, actually, we do have the second video. So here, let's play that.
There we go.
He wants banks to be utilities, like a utility. I mean, they want to make banks smaller and make them utilities. I mean, that is, one reason that there is a real need for scale. Look at all this M&A happening in the financial services sector. I mean, this morning alone, Wells Fargo announcing that it is selling its asset management business for $2.1 billion. It comes, of course, after M&T Bank and People's United announced a $7.6 billion merger yesterday. Alex, are you expecting further consolidation with or without new rulemaking in Washington?
We are, and that's just the nature of the banking industry. But with that consolidation, we still have great diversity, a great number of community banks, regional banks, and of course our larger banks, which Europe doesn't have. The community bank is an American phenomenon. That doesn't exist in most countries of the world, certainly not in Europe. So to Chairman Brown and
he's a Floridian. What's his obsession with Europe?
Look, our banks are there. Many of them,
like
as
maybe
I said,
he had a
offer free
girlfriend in
checking
Europe and she
accounts.
broke up
Look,
with him.
government shouldn't be in banking.
I hate all Europeans.
Good at defense, at police, at fire, and other related services. Maria, what's next? Having banking be in bakery, or you remember in the old Soviet Union when
what is Soviet Union? What does the ghost of Stalin have to do with this?
We're already half crazy. Why not go all the way?
Jeans off them because what they had was Soviet-made jeans. The government's not good at these type of things, and that's what
we went from public banks to European banks that are
to Soviet jeans.
Well,
to
Soviet
jeans.
They've been talking about cutting
Fox
the banks
News,
down
everyone.
to size for a long time, and if they get their ways, this is one way to do it. All this as the Chinese banking system is bigger than the U.S. I mean, look at the largest banks in the world. They're all Chinese. What do you want to say to those American companies that just got licenses to operate in Beijing? We're waiting on J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs to open up shop there and own their 100% of their banks as the Chinese communists want to win here in the global banking war.
Chinese Communist Bank
you're
and the
absolutely
one in one
Maria. You look at
sentence.
the top 50 banks in the world. The top 5 are Chinese. There's
Okay, so he's obviously having a mental brain meltdown because first, again, to Daniel's point,
public banks don't work. What about China? They're public. Communism.
Yeah, no. First, we go from public banks be bad, then Europeans don't know what they're doing, then Soviet genes, mind you. If anyone, hold on. Homework assignment for our viewing audience. I want to see a picture of Soviet jeans.
Yeah.
Post them on our Discord.
I think by the very
so if you're on our Discord,
they would be like Soviet denim pants.
I want to see Soviet jeans. That's your homework. Because hey, we have fun here at Heartlands Media, but when it's time for homework, Discord people, if you're on our Discord, I want to see Soviet jeans. I want to see them right now. Like, that's the homework assignment. You will not be graded.
But I love the fact that he's like, see, it doesn't work anywhere, not even in Europe. And then she's like,
about China?
The top 5 banks are public and they're all Chinese. That's also bad.
Again, you know what? It goes to show you that our corporate media has failed us. Our financial institutions have failed us. And this is because of our political system that has allowed corporations to buy our media, buy our control our financial institutions, and more at the same time too, these same financial institutions and big banks also control our political class. See, it's one big club and you ain't in it. So anytime we talk about Medicare for all, public banks, affordable education, canceling student debt, investing into our infrastructure, getting rid of regime change wars, fighting climate change, these seem to be pie in the sky ideas, but in reality, other countries are implementing them.
And speaking of pie in the sky, I have a question for the audience. Would you like to have a bank that also is a bakery? I feel like the line would smell much better.
Oh, yeah, it would be great.
If you want to have a line, if you want to have a bank bakery combination, type 1. And if you don't, type 2. And if you want to be in that bakery and wear your Soviet jeans, type 3.
Yes, there we go. We have democracy. And you know what? Shout out to our European friends, be they French or German
or Chinese, apparently.
I guess Chinese now too. But you know what? Because I think this dude had heartbreak in France or something like that. Because he's like, I don't like anything European. So you know what? All our love to our French friends in Europe. All our love to our Russian friends. And to our Russian friends, if you got some Soviet jeans, send them on over here. We actually might need them.
Yeah, I would try them. We'll do a Soviet gene review.
Why not? In the name of one of our unofficial saints for the studio, Lenin, if you're here.
Wait, when did he join the sainthood?
Because
Saints Row?
Yeah, we got Al Capone, we got the God Emperor of Mankind, and now we got Lenin.
I have no comment to this at this point.
Don't worry.
This is as crazy as Soviet jeans.
It is, but you know what?
Bakery
Soviet jeans. Soviet jeans. We need them, and for the bakery bankers out there.
Okay. Well, here's one. I'm gonna ask one more question for everyone. New poll. Everyone, clear your heads. Ready? Oh. Okay, that's better than my guess. Skibby has a better one, but I already had picked. Okay, which would you prefer? A bakery bank type 4 or a Soviet jeans shop bank 5? And I will add this in because it was brought up and I thought it was a very good point. Type 6 for a pizzeria / bank.
That's going to serve Chicago style pizza. And if it's going to, not that New York style stuff. I don't want
It'll serve whatever is regional and deep dish.
There'll be deep dish is superior. So there we go.
This is, I think I like democracy.
Yeah, democracy. Democracy is the best thing ever. So shout out to all of our European friends. Shout out to our Russian friends. Shout out to our Chinese friends. Don't tell that to Rachel Maddow. She might have a heart attack.
Yeah, if you're Chinese and watching us through a VPN, hello.
Yes. Hello, we love you. All right, we're going to now move on to our next segment. But again, before we do, shout out to our viewing audience. All of you are lovely. We cannot do this show without you guys, and you all have really built the studio up. We cannot thank you all enough for all your support because all of you are super awesome. But with that being said now, I want to pull up this wonderful article from our good friends at The Hill because this interesting article just caught my attention, and I just figured that's important that we talk about it, that we have a discussion about it and really see what is going on because apparently, unbeknownst to you, me, and everyone else, but I guess Congress has now a super high approval rating.
What?
Yeah. Apparently, this is what's going on. Apparently, Congress, in its infinite wisdom, is right now. There was a recent Gallup poll where it's showing.
Who did they contact? People in office?
Well, there was about 1,400 people, I think, that was polled in that real quick. And for some reason, my document is not showing up. I can't pull up the article fast enough. Trying to save paper, be environmentally friendly here at the studio. So that's already
the downside of it.
This is the downside of being environmentally friendly, I guess. All right. Well, again, Google Drives is not working with me properly. So I'll give you the rundown with the article. A recent Gallup poll is showing that Congress now has a 36% job approval rating.
Oh, because Biden just got in.
Yeah, because Biden just got in, and it's mostly Democrats, at least at 61%. They're saying that they approve of the actions of our current Congress because, again, as it stands right now, our Congress is, at least in the Senate and House, are majority Democrats. So it kind of calls back to an original story that you talked about, where Americans are asked, when Americans are asked, is the government working for you?
Mm-hmm.
When Democratic voters, or at least the vote blue no matter who crowd, are polled, yeah, our government's working fine. When the GOP crowd is being polled, it's not. It's not. And see, the thing is, if roles were reversed when Trump was president, if you ask the Democratic voters, no, the government's not working. But if you ask Republican voters, they'd be like, yeah, the government's working just fine. But now, for some reason, I still can't believe that there's a lot of Democratic voters that are agreeing with this, but saying, what, 36%?
Yay!
Why? How?
We went into the Middle East more, and
here's
talking about checks.
No.
It's working.
Here's the problem that the article doesn't cover, but I found it interesting that this article is talking about the job approval rating. Let's talk about the actions of Congress. Yes, number one, we are back in foreign wars. We're talking about continuing engagement in Iraq. We're talking about still having the sanctions on Iran and not going back to the Iran deal that we had with Barack Obama.
Government's working.
The Biden administration could potentially put in $25 billion for COVID-19 relief, but instead they're only putting $2 billion in.
Yay, 10%.
The children are still in cages down south of the border, but instead they're called now facilities.
Yay, with name changes.
Name changes. We are going to be waiting up until 2025 to get our $11 minimum wage increase.
Yay, some increase, even though we're past the point of inflation, decreasing it, so we're not even at the original amount that we were at when we started talking about raising the minimum wage.
We're still waiting for our $2,000 stimulus checks. That's now $1,400.
It's money. Shut up.
We are still dealing with the fact that Biden has surrounded himself with nothing but pro-corporatists.
That's how it should be.
And yet we also have one Democratic senator, dare I say now two Democratic senators, that are saying to the Biden administration, it's our way or highway because we don't like $15 an hour.
Yay, two people controlling the country. This is great. Blue no matter who.
Yep. So the thing is, again, a small number of people were polled, but again, when it comes on the polling data, don't trust them. Don't trust it at all because, again, especially when the media uses it, they only select certain outlets to use for their benefit.
They do a bunch of polls. They call landlines, which ticks up the age of the person you're talking to on average and the income that they have to get a landline. And then once you do that, then you reach out to a people that have usually already voted in several elections, anyway, for the most part. And then they sort of math out the details. I'm like, oh, it's about accurate. And then they usually reach out to, like, when we do a poll on YouTube, we usually get more respondents than a Gallup poll does. And then to Kit's point, then they'll do that with a number of different organizations, and they'll cherry pick the ones that fit the most and ignore the ones that don't. Give them the outcome they want. And they're like, look at this. We got a poll.
I wonder, though, because the thing is, maybe the reason why they got such a high approval, at least with that selected group of people, why they got such a high approval rating, or why our current Congress has a high approval rating, might be have to deal with the impeachment. But the thing is, the impeachment was a failure. But I guess maybe for some people,
impeachment wasn't a failure. We made fun of Donald Trump.
No,
and that was
well, there was that, making fun of Donald Trump. But it kind of goes back to another thing as well that we talked about. Maybe that impeachment thing was nothing but feel good porn for the vote blue no matter who crowd.
I love feel good porn. My wife won't let me watch anything else. Man, I feel like that's exactly what I imagine a lot of blue, no matter who people being like,
well, but the thing is, I don't know what it's going to take for them to really get out of that liberal mindset bubble.
It's their alignment. A lot of these people are professionals that make over $100,000 a year who didn't get hit that hard by the pandemic because they were able to really easily work remotely. Many of their finances are still in order. They have not been let go from the job. The economy has not been terrible for them. They still have money to do all this stuff. And they sit around and what do? They, instead of going out with their friends and eating in restaurants, they watch the TV, they watch Rachel Maddow, they watch everyone else, and they just mimic what they say. And that's all it is. That's all there is to it. And these are the people that have the money to donate to campaigns. So it keeps the wheels turning.
So let's have democracy here. And here, anyone can put the number of their choosing, but we have about 427 people watching us live right now. Let's get you guys actively involved. Type in your personal opinion, what approval rating Congress really should have. It could be 1 or it could be higher than 1. I mean, let's really get your own.
It could be 3.
Yeah, it could be 3. Look. Choose your number.
But remember, keep in mind that there are a number of people in the U.S. who are doing really well under the current system. That's why it doesn't ever go below 8% or 10%.
Yeah. So, just really get your opinion. If you're going to grade this current Congress right now, put your percentage. What kind of percent would you give it? 100% to 1%? We'll let you decide. But with that being said, we're now going to move on to our final segment. Yeah. Daniel Upker, you have a story for the people. What is going on?
Okay, so this is a kind of interesting tail end story for the day. It's relevant, it's also not relevant, but it's also good and it's not good. It sort of matters and doesn't at the same time, but we should know about it. So remember how there was this big thing where they're like, hey, you shouldn't be able to spend political money on social media. That's not good, but spend it on TV. Please keep spending it on TV and newspapers and such. Remember that? Okay, so Google has announced that it will lift its ban on political ads on Wednesday, ending a self-imposed prohibition that has been active since the January 6th riot at the U.S. Capitol. Google announced that the decision in an email to political clients Monday morning. The tech giant had also banned political ads on its platform, including YouTube and Google search pages after the 2020 election, as a part of a broader effort to clamp down on political and misinformation that they made a huge amount of money off of. Google will now return ads from campaigns and ads on political topics to those sites, which have seen nearly $750 million in advertising since the spring of 2018. I wonder why they've been doing it for so long. According to Google's ad disclosure portal, Facebook, which temporarily and narrowly lifted its political ad ban ahead of the Georgia state runoffs in January before reimposing it again, has not yet announced whether or if it will lift its own ban on political ads. Google and Facebook were collectively responsible for billions of dollars worth of digital political advertising during the last election cycle. Their bans have scrambled online fundraising efforts so far this year, and they have cut off key communication tool between campaigns and voters ahead of state elections in Virginia and New Jersey this year, as well as countless municipal races around the country. So ads are somewhat open again to some degree, unless we decide that they're not. And it's crazy that they're like, if you can't spend money on ads with Facebook or Google, you don't have a campaign because you can't reach out to people because your constituents are all on Facebook, because it was a really smart idea to allow Facebook and Google and everyone else to accrue so much power. And we just covered in Australia the effects of that. So it's a thing. You can spend money on ads again, and also they control whether or not your campaign succeeds.
All right. So let's address one thing as well, and maybe this is something unrelated. And Daniel, I'd like your input on this, but we can't also forget just really the role that Google played in derailing one person's campaign, especially when they were doing well during not one but 2 presidential debates, and that was Tulsi Gabbard. Because remember, Google did a hit job against Tulsi Gabbard's campaign, where people were. This is when she destroyed Kamala Harris. I know everyone's saying, but Kamala's VP. It doesn't matter. Tulsi Gabbard during the debates not once but twice demolished her, to where Kamala had to drop out of the race and got 0 delegates, by the way. But again, what did Google do when people were searching for her or trying to find any kind? Google just you
don't have a campaign anymore.
All gone. And there was evidence to show too, and we covered it here at Hard Lens Media. So, yeah. And the thing is, the reason why I'm kind of just bringing up Tulsi is because, I have to say, at least at the end of the day, while I don't like how her campaign ended, where she endorsed Joe Biden, she didn't force her voters to vote for Joe Biden.
That's a fair point.
She said, all right, I'm going to endorse him, but she didn't tell any of her people, well, you better do this. All right. But no matter what, she was fighting till the end. I really respect her actions during the first impeachment, which I think the first impeachment was a bunch of BS. She did a fantastic job with that. And, I like someone who's going to fight to the end. Again, didn't like how she ended her campaign, but again, this is my opinion. And look, none of these politicians are perfect, but at least when it comes down to this, when we're seeing so much BS from corporations and censorship happening, we're just getting screwed over, and no one's fighting for us. Bernie's turning a blind eye to Neera Tanden. The 15 congressmen and women that ran on Medicare for All didn't stand up or even participate, was forced to vote because they didn't like Jimmy Dore or Breonna Joy Gray. Well, too bad, so sad. Good luck in telling people to calm down, or good luck in convincing people to vote for you in 2022 because, the Democrats aren't offering us anything at all.
Yeah.
All right.
So I think that's what we got today. I want to throw out a note to everyone that I'm not saying to do anything, but after we're finished with the broadcast, TYT is still live. And if people, I don't know, went there and just was like, Hard Lens Media is a better watch. I'm not saying to do anything. I'm just saying it's a thing that could happen if it was done in numbers, but never mind.
And, but Cenk would be like, oh no, they can't.
Yeah, and we'd be like, well, we didn't say
Hard
anything.
Lens Media, HLM greater than TYT, of course.
Our audience just acted on their own. We didn't have anything to do with this. Just something to talk about.
Yeah, exactly. Because Chicago, we're going to take over, and we invite you guys, our viewers and subscribers, to come along with us. With that being said, I want to give a special thank you to everyone that's been joining us. Shout out to our wonderful moderators. Shout out to Ayana, Ali Alexandria, Mona Carmona, Fred Edward, Gamer for Life, E. Heller. Shout out to our tech priest engineer FaZe for manning the board. Shout out to Daniel Lupker for being an awesome co-host. Also, be aware that Hard Lens Media is live every Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. We will be uploading content on Rockfin very soon. I do have a video that's available that will be up there soon. Please give me time. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Just give me a minute. A minute. That's all I need.
Okay. Start counting.
Okay. Also, be sure to check out our fun channel, Chicago Reacts. Join our Discord. Follow us on Twitter. And otherwise, all of you guys and gals, just please be safe out there. We do appreciate all your support. If you want to support us even further, please consider being a Patreon supporter. My name is Kit Cabello, the host of Hard Lens Media. Peace to you guys, and let us all do what we can to build a better future.
See you tomorrow.